Skipper Realty Group, brokered by eXp Realty out of Oregon. And I'm with my buddy Cody Wilhelm with Residential Mortgage. Cody, how's it going, man?
Doing wonderful. How are you?
I'm good. Good. The summer has hit.
Yes.
Summer camps have been going on, so it's still a little busy. But yeah, the sun's good. No school's good. So yes, things are good. What's going on with you?
I'm kind of like taking on a new interest in nerding out on my lawn.
Really?
Yeah, like I've always enjoyed the landscaping side of things.
Yeah.
It's fun. It's nice to make it look nice during the summertime. But I've never really done like actual lawn care. One of our homes, we completely rototilled everything up and planted new. So that was kind of a fun experience. But
yeah,
kind of just going through and learning how to actually give your lawn what it needs. Our lawn is pretty big, not to brag or anything, but it's
but it's okay.
It is. It's kind of a lot to maintain. So I think that's the last handful of years. It's just been like, if I can just mow it, I feel good about it. But then, clover and the little flowers and the kids with the bees and all, it's like, okay, I'm going to try to figure out, I'm going to see if I can get this to where it looks like, from a distance, it's all green and nice. And then you get up close to it and it's like, oh, it's a lot of clover. It's a lot of weeds. It's a lot of junk in there. So it's been kind of a fun little thing of exploring with different chemicals, different, what, I'll give a little nugget that I found. You can search this up on YouTube if you want. So diesel exhaust fluid is actually a really good lawn fertilizer.
Really?
I would have never known. I didn't know what it was, to be honest, but it's like water and I don't remember what the other thing is, but well, now I don't remember what it was, but it's like all natural ingredients and it's a really good fertilizer and it's super cheap. So I'm going to try using that.
It doesn't sound natural diesel, but
no, it doesn't. It doesn't make sense that it would go in and mix with it's nitrogen and water, I think it is, or something really simple. So stumbled across that. So I'm going to try that out. See if it does anything.
I don't have as big of a yard as you do. And I should care more, but I don't about it. So, but maybe I'll get into it. Like
mow it once a week or so and call it good.
Yeah, I know. Now that you say it, I should care. My brother cares about his too. So you guys both in my life caring about lawns should probably influence me, but it doesn't. So
well, and I'm kind of realizing too. I think for me, it was just intimidating. Like, well, I don't really know what to do. I'll water it and mow it, but I don't know how to get rid of all this stuff.
It is,
and not that I know what I'm doing at all. But I am slowly learning that it's not really that complicated. It's like use some weed and feed, give it some fertilizer, do that a couple times a year. Like it's gonna work itself out. But so I'll keep you posted.
Maybe I'll try.
Yeah, give it a shot.
Hey, but what's more important today though is the rates. What's going on with rates? What are you seeing now, and what are your thoughts on what's going to happen?
Rates are really still pretty much unchanged. Still, we're going through the same ups and downs, but overall baseline, nothing's really changed for the last 2 years. I mean, you get a low point and then you get a high point. And overall, I'd say if we looked now from what we were at January of 2023, I think we're probably almost in the exact same spot. So overall, nothing has really changed. We've talked about it a million times on here. A lot of what I read and what I see out there points that rates should be lower. And I say that more based on the actual economy rather than the numbers of what jobs and unemployment and inflation. Those are all still showing positive. But I think if you were to ask any person out there, things are just like the interest rates, the cost to get into a house is just way too high. It's just not feasible. Like there are people that can do it, but the reality is there's not enough affordability when it comes to buying a home and renting a home, which is obviously why we have a homelessness issue, throughout too. But I really do think that rates are going to start coming down, not quickly necessarily. But I do think that we're probably, the latest I saw is September, could be the first rate cut. And I think that there's a really good chance of that happening, primarily because the elections are coming up. But also I feel like the data that's coming out is showing that it's less and less of a inflation problem and maybe more time to like start winding things down a little bit, even if it does cause an inflation issue. I think it's just needed. Like talking to business owners too. I was talking to a guy the other day that owned multiple businesses. And when I was going through his taxes, looking at everything, he had losses that he was showing. And I was asking him about that, like, did something happen? And he was losing money because the interest rates on his business loans, they're adjustable loans.
Yeah.
And so as the rates continue to go up, he's losing 20, 30 grand each year because of that. So it's like, I think it's just the trickle down that, I get caught in my little bubble of the real estate, the housing side of it. But the reality of the interest rates too, like they're up for everything and it's just slowly taking its toll. So maybe it's my optimistic view, but I do feel like before November, I think we will see our first rate cut. But
yeah. And I think like, you can't, I think it's always, people want the big rate cut. And it's like, I did a YouTube video on this not too long ago of like, for a healthy economy, we can't, because the demand is still there for homes. If you were to drop the rate 1%, 1.5%, you're then going to see the buyers jump back into the market heavily, which then increases prices, which then it just puts it off balance even more. And so it might not be a good sight to see a very slight rate drop, but I think for the overall economy, for the overall health of buyers and sellers, for the overall pricing of homes, the light rate drop is the best way to go right now. And I think that's kind of, I see people like, when's it going to get it down to 5.5%? It's like, I don't know if we want it to jump to 5.5% right now. Like over time, yes, like that'd be awesome. If over time it slowly gets down to there, but to want that drop, it's not going to help buyers. Like, yes, you can afford more of a home, but then everyone else can, and the prices are just going to shoot up of the house. So it's pick your poison, in a lot of ways.
Yeah,
so
that might be great for us that are in the business.
Yeah.
Because then it's just going to be going from not a lot of people, able to do it to where everybody jumps in. But as far as the buying experience, I mean, anybody that bought in 2020 or 21, like in the moment of, I mean, people are paying 50, 60, 80 grand over asking price, waiving appraisal, like that takes its toll on you too. So it's, I think a good steady, like stair stepping down of rates would prevent that, but also kind of like give the excitement too. Like, hey, things are actually starting to work their way back down. Maybe it is a good time for us rather than just, a lot of people just sitting on the sidelines because I just can't do it.
For sure. Yeah, and what I was doing some research for my market report and saw the same thing. It's like this is not sustainable for a lot of people. I think for sellers, they're like, great, I have the price of my home is maxed out. But for buyers, they can't deal with high interest rates and high home prices. So one of them has to give, if not both of them. And I'm not saying that they both have to tank, but sellers have been in this total seller's market for years and years and years of saying my home has gained 15, 20%, 30% in some cases over a year's period, which is that's not realistic. And it was only based on the fact that we had significantly low rates and buyers were willing to pay that much. Right now, buyers are sitting on the sideline. Yes, there's different categories and demographics that can afford a 7% and afford a 6% at the same price range. And generally we see that on the higher income people, right? Like they can afford, whether the rates drop a percentage or not, they can still afford the multi-million-dollar home. But right now, people that are just your average consumer, and especially first-time home buyers, cannot get a house at the prices that they're at and the combination of the rates that they're at. So my thought is something has to give at some point. And I'm starting to see prices settle a little bit because homes are sitting on the market longer. Sellers are starting to come to the realization that, hey, people can afford. It's not that your house sucks. It's that they can't afford that house that they really want because the rate is so high. So we're going to have to start to see these things start to settle back down. And I think that's kind of just easing the tensions of sellers saying, look, it doesn't mean that you're losing all the value in your home. You may be losing the crazy value that it was at. But you're still going to gain equity in the home. And then for buyers to be able to come back into the market more slowly than everyone jumping in. So that's kind of what I'm seeing on the
Right.
real estate side too. So
Yeah. Nope. It's a lot of the same, but it feels like there's always a new thing here and there. It kind of seems to go in waves. We had temporary buy downs for a while.
yeah,
We got, like when there's not a lot of existing stuff, a lot of people go to new construction and start looking around there. And that's always a kind of an eye-opening experience. We just got a new construction loan that we can offer now. It's for conventional loans, FHA and VA. So they're treated just the same: 5% down conventional, 3.5% down FHA, 0% down VA. And those are going to be used more on your own land. You want to buy the land, you want to build, call it a custom home. Maybe not like, super fancy custom home, but it's not going to necessarily be just in a neighborhood. Most of the time, those builders will carry the financing and you just do your standard loan on it. But a lot of people, it feels like that's kind of the direction that you go, right? It's like, okay, I'm going to look and see what's out there. There's not a lot out there. I'm going to look at new construction. If that doesn't work, okay, no, maybe condos, maybe manufactured homes. It's like going down this checklist of like, nope. Okay, we found something here in this bucket, but always seems to go in waves. And you just
what's that? So that new construction, what do you mean by that? Like, tell me more about what someone can do with that new program.
Yeah, so if somebody wanted to buy their own land, or maybe they already own their own land and they want to build a home on there, they would get a construction loan, and they'd pick out the builder that they want to use. They'd let us know. We get the builder approved. It's a pretty simple process. We just get some information from the builder, verify that they really are a builder and they have some experience. And then we approve the buyer so that the buyer carries all of the financing for it. So it's going to be our standard, we're going to get all your income documents and everything. But the other part of it too is we're going to need to get the plans and the specs and everything for the home that's being built. Because by the time we close that's when they can start to build the home. Okay. And then it's a 12-month build process. And then they get draws, like quarter 20%, 25% draw on each one, so that they can build on it, use that money. And the thing that the builders love about it is it doesn't put any risk on them. Say like if they're building in a development, the builder typically takes out a line of credit and they build those homes, and then people just come buy those. Whereas this, it's on the buyer's land. There's really no liability to the builder. And as far as the buyer's concerned, they can build something that they want where they want, as opposed to needing something new construction in a neighborhood. So this is cool because I've only ever been able to offer conventional options. So now being able to do FHA and VA is something great, because conventional loans, you don't necessarily have to have fantastic credit, but 700, 720 kind of it becomes a little bit more of your barrier of entry. So to be able to have stuff for maybe lower credit scores, or VA 0% down, it just opens things up for those people, especially in this type of market where maybe you don't have a lot that you can buy. You can buy the land with this construction loan too. So you can roll it all into one, and it's just a one-time construction loan. So it's not like once construction's done, then you have to refinance into a permanent loan. It's all included into one. So
that's nice. Yeah. And is it, do you have to have a specific size of a property, or is it just anywhere, or what is it?
It's really just if it makes sense for the area. Okay. Because a lot of it comes down to the appraisal. Like barn dominiums, those are, if they're normal for the area, then, and it's a home, it's not like it's a barn with a little bit of a home. It's a home that like, as long as it's a home and it fits the area, and the appraiser can get comps for that. Might not be able to be something like super, like a container home or something. That's really unique, and they just can't find anything. But as long as it fits the general mold of the area, there's really not much for restrictions on property or anything. It just has to make sense.
Cool. Well, that's good. Yeah, I think having options for people is, in this type of market is the key to get people into homes that maybe they didn't think they could get into. Because a lot of people I think a lot of buyers, at least on my end, are discouraged because it's the demand is there. Like, and that's, I think, why people that think that the housing market's crashing, I don't really believe this story, because I think, it's supply and demand, and there's not enough supply, and there's still a ton of demand, and really people are just waiting on the financial ability to get into the home. So, but it is discouraging for buyers. So it's good to have options with lenders that can maybe get into things that were more unique, because I think we always think when the getting's good, you just conventional loan and boom, 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 and we're done. And now lenders are starting to come out with more and more programs that help people navigate these scenarios, whether that's the 2-1 buy down or whatever, the new construction loan and those sort of things. So it's good to hear.
Yeah. Yep. There's always a lot of options, and it just kind of seems to be whatever fits. And I think one thing that gets lost too with a lot of people is, especially as a first time buyer, maybe a younger family, everybody wants that, like, forever property right away. And knowing that, you might have to just get into something to start out and live in there for a couple of years. Because I think if anything, history has shown that real estate appreciates. I mean, you got 2008, but that's kind of, who knows? It could happen again. I don't see that happening again because of how it happened. And all us lenders screwing everything up.
Nasty lenders.
That's no longer a thing. They got so many rules now. You can't. You can't really do much when you're going to buy a house. So we see everything. It's all monitored and everything. But I mean, buy something, live in it for a couple years. Maybe when the rates do come down, you can refinance, get something, and then sell it and make $50,000 and move up to the next one. And it might take you 10 years to get your forever home. But in the big picture, if that takes you from 25 to 35, you're in your forever home by 35. And
it's adjusting priorities, like, based on it. It's like, and that's hard to do. I get it. Like, because you have this mindset, and it rates at 4, you were like, we could do this. And now rates are 7. You're like, we can't do it. So it's kind of that, it takes time for people to kind of process that and start to reevaluate priorities and be like, okay, maybe we do just do the baby steps versus that massive jump we could have done a couple of years ago. So
start with a cardboard box, work your way up to a pallet house.
Yes, exactly. Baby steps. But
that's right.
Well, cool, man. Well, thank you for that info. It was good to see you again. And until next week, remember, Venture with Joe and Cody's coming out weekly. We have some awesome guests on there. If you guys do want to be on the show, don't hesitate. Don't be shy about it. Let us know that you want to be on, and we'll get you set up and get on the show. It's a lot of fun.
Absolutely. Yep. So become a rock star.
Exactly. Okay, man. Well, thanks so much.